Welcome to Passages, the podcast where life gets deep, friendship gets real, and the wisdom of the Bible flows, usually right after a debate about tacos and Bigfoot. Join Patrick Birch, Drew Kaiser, Jason Pulliam, and Tim Layton as they explore Scripture, share great quotes, and occasionally get sidetracked by snacks and bad preachers.
But we shall miss him. There will be one vacant chair. We shall linger to caress him when we breathe our evening prayer. We shall meet, but we shall miss him.
Guys, it appears we're flying in the missing man formation again tonight.
Yes, we are.
Formation. Drew has gone to rest high on that mountain.
Yes, he's going to the home of mountain music.
Hello, Alabama. This is Fort Payne. So Drew's away from us tonight. He is up at Fort Payne. He was doing their summer series. Rumor is that he might be trying out for a job there. Have y'all heard that rumor?
No.
Yeah, let's don't spread that rumor.
I don't.
Okay, I moved to strike that.
Yeah, get exactly
struck.
Exactly.
So we're flying this without him, which means we do not have him to rein us in this evening. So Tim, you officially are in charge of making us behave.
Ooh, oh man,
that is a big
task.
job.
Mm-hmm.
Big job.
All right. So where are we starting tonight?
Let's get started with, it's not really a conspiracy theory, but it is related to one of our former conspiracy theories that we've talked about quite a bit.
Okay.
Guys, I want to talk about drones.
Oh, well, that was not actually a conspiracy theory. That was truth.
Big conspiracy theory. I do have some truth for tonight. Did you guys hear about and this is not, I do not want this to be political, but did you guys hear about what Ukraine did to Russia?
No.
Yeah, kind of caught him off guard, didn't it?
Caught him off guard. So, Tim, since you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to look at you for the look of shock on your face. So I'll just read the little news article I have. In a bold and unprecedented move, Ukraine launched a massive drone attack dubbed Operation Spiderweb on June 1st, targeting Russian military air bases deep inside Russian territory. The operation, meticulously planned over 18 months by Ukraine, struck 5 airfields, including some I can't say in Serbia and the Russian Arctic, and as far as 2,600 miles from Ukraine. So here's what they did, Tim. They put 117 drones into a truck, into like a Connex box on the back of a truck. The Connex box, like what you see on a big boat. It gets put on a truck.
Mm-hmm.
It had a retractable roof. And then they gave the Russian truck driver some false information and had them drive it to a military base where the retractable roof opened up and 117 drones with bombs strapped to them swarmed the airfield and blew up a bunch of Russian planes.
Wow.
All of this, I think, was done with no human controllers. I think a lot of it was the drones had some AI, something on board, and they were looking for a plane because in the videos of this, the Russians had put a whole bunch of tires and other things on the wings and tops of the fuselages of their bombers to mask, I guess, the look of the plane.
Yeah.
But some of these videos that are coming out are pretty crazy where this drone flies basically right to where the wing connects to the fuselage. And then the picture just goes garbled and because it blew it up.
Wow.
I watched like 10 minutes of drone videos today of that happening. That was, and if you're going to put tires on top of your planes to hide the shape of the plane and things like that, maybe don't put them on top of the plane in the shape of a plane. I mean, maybe pile some tires up around the plane, something like that.
Still just a plane.
But the pictures
from the sky looks like a plane.
From the drone pictures and satellite pictures looking straight down, it looked like an airplane with tires on top.
Yep.
These guys are making their planes out of old tires. Wow.
Now, is it true that some of those drones were actually spotted flying over the New Jersey skyline?
That's completely
Late.
false. Completely false.
2024.
Hey, Jason, maybe the whole New Jersey drone thing was just a test run for this.
It's possible. I mean, these are not small drones, right? These are fairly large drones.
Actually, these were just normal drones like you go buy at Best Buy.
Patrick, you're killing me here.
Yeah.
They were huge.
No,
people.
they were not huge.
Huge.
There were 117 of them that fit in an 18-wheeler.
I know.
So
can you imagine is there any shot of what it looked like when they all came up out of that?
Yeah, there's at least one video I've seen where this truck's on the side of the road and they only, I guess maybe they launched them one at a time or something, but one comes up and out and then just shoots off across a field. And I guess go into somewhere it was programmed to go.
I wonder if one left to blow the truck up or something.
The trucks, I believe the trucks also blew up. So maybe. I think they were hiding some evidence
that Ukraine also hacked the speaker system at the base, and as this attack was happening, it was going da 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 dun 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 bum bum ba da 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 dun 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 bum bum da 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 bum bum.
And they were programmed to blow up on the bum bombs.
Oh wow!
So
I thought it was impressive. Maybe it was "Fly to the Bumblebee." I could have been wrong. One of those two songs.
Ukraine says it blew up about 34% of their bomber fleet. Of course, Russia contests that.
Yeah, Putin says they got like 2.
Yeah.
But he lies a lot. Y'all, I heard a statistic today. They were talking about this on a podcast I was listening to. He has been in power in Russia for the last 6 U.S. presidents.
How is he not dead yet?
He's Russian. He's preserved.
A lot of vodka.
Pickled.
Yeah, pickled.
Yeah.
Well, wow. I thought that was politics and awesome. Other things aside. I thought that was a pretty inventive, innovative, strategic military move,
thing. Right?
Yeah. Especially to get as deep into Russia as they got.
Right.
I mean, and multiple air bases.
And to be on the side of that conflict where you are grossly outmatched.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, and so basically all, the things you have on your side are being tricky and trying, innovative things or whatever. Wow.
Sadly, I am afraid that this is not going to lead to many peace talks in the near future.
No, I think you're probably right.
I don't know which side I would even stand on this. It deals with Ukraine and Russia. I hate they're doing it. Yeah. It doesn't affect me a lot. But still, this is going to put a little damper on because there's going to be retaliation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as this continues to go on, I'm sure President Trump, who's like, I'll have this thing settled before I take office, is come on, guys.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can somebody stop here? But I'm sure that each one of them continually feels provoked by the other one and things continue.
I do know one thing about the retaliation, though. It will not be using around 38 airplanes.
Correct.
They're just no longer functioning very well.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. I think we're ready for a Yay Sports.
The team, go sports.
All right. Can you just explain what's going on here?
Hi, thank you. I have no idea.
All right.
That's such a great Yay Sports.
In the realm of not really having an idea of what's going on, I'm not sure how interesting this is going to be, but the NBA championships are going on, right? We're ready to start the NBA finals. That's the Pacers and Oklahoma City. Probably the folks who pay for
the Thunder?
The Thunder, right? And so probably the people who pay for advertising and all the networks with the $1 billion deals are probably ready to jump off the top of a building because it's Indiana versus Oklahoma City and not New York versus Los Angeles or whatever. But those two teams have played really well. Well, the Yay Sports for today has to do with the New York Knicks because on Tuesday they fired their head coach, Tom. I don't know how to say Tom's last name. Thibodeau, not Thibodeau.
I think it's Thibodeau.
I think it is too. And I've heard some Thibodeau over the last few days, and I don't like it.
Well, Thibodeau sounds like somebody has a problem.
It sure does.
That's why I like Thibodeau.
But seriously.
Now, they lost to the Pacers, right?
They lost to the Pacers in 6 games. So it was really beginning to look good for the Knicks to have a shot at the at getting to the NBA Finals. They were seeded higher than the Pacers. They had knocked off the Boston Celtics, who were the number 1 seed. And so, they were riding pretty high. So, but they were in the conference finals, right? And so by the time New York was defeated in the conference final, they were one of the last 3 teams left in contention. And the next day, their coach got fired. This is just interesting. I feel like, it's they had their first 2 seasons of 50 wins. They play 82 games. So, 50 and 30, something of that nature. In years, in a long time, the Knicks have not been very good for a while. And so all of that happened after they brought in Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau is known for sort of being he's a tough coach. And one of the things that he's known for is he doesn't go very deep on his bench. He'll play 7 guys, 8 guys maybe, but he'll play them hard. He'll play them a lot of minutes. He plays his stars. And there's been some questioning of his tactics in terms of, did he run his guys into the ground and they sort of run out of gas? Now, of course, the Pacers are very good too. They may end up winning it all. But I guess this sort of stood out to me when you have a situation where your team or your organization is doing really well, almost historically well, and you make a decision to fire the guy at the top. It's one of those decisions that in some aspects takes a lot of guts to do. Now, you may end up regretting it really badly, right? So they may find out that his style really coached these guys up a lot, and next year, they win 40 games, yeah. Right?
So I wonder if maybe I think you hinted at this just a little bit. I'm just reading a quote here from the team president. Mm-hmm. Says, our organization is singularly focused on winning a championship for our fans.
Yeah.
This pursuit led us to the decision to inform Tom Thibodeau that we've decided to move in another direction. So is it, you're kind of saying it's crazy because they're having the best season they've had since, this article says, since 1995.
They were pursuing a championship.
Right.
Yeah.
And it seems here they're kind of hinting at it's because they didn't get into the championship maybe this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think they felt like we've knocked off the Celtics. They were the number 1 seed in the East. We were ready to take that next step. We're not sure that this guy has the right strategy to get us there. We think we have the right pieces in place. We think we have the right players. But it's a very risky proposition
it can go south
to
quick.
be that close to the top, mm-hmm. and then to fire your guy and think I can bring somebody else in. The chemistry is going to work. This new strategy is going to work. When they went 6 games with the Pacers, they completely blew game 1. They were up. It was something like 10 points with a minute and a half left. They had game 1 won. And if they had won game 1 at home, they lost the first 2 games at home. So they dug a hole that it was almost impossible for them to get out of. Still in game 6, they were in the fourth quarter down by about 8 points. They ended up losing by 15, 18, something like that. But they were still in that game on the road. And if they had won that game, they likely would have gone back home and won game 7. Mm-hmm. So that close to being in the NBA Finals, and the next day you fire your coach.
Yep. I wonder statistically how it works out for teams that make these moves. Like if you, and I will never do this. I'm sure somebody has done this before, but statistically, how does it work out for teams that take they're right there at right on the edge of the championship and then decide, let's just can the head coach and try something new. I wonder how many of those teams in the next 3 to 5 years show any level of success.
Right.
But I mean, I can get it. You know, the playoffs it's a tough run. I mean, it is grueling. And if you're kind of overworking 6, 7 of the guys, they can get exhausted. And then you're playing a team by name that paces themselves. Then you know that you're in trouble. I mean,
that's right. Well, and you mentioned that, but Indiana they're young, and their style of play is the basketball comes down and everybody runs.
Yeah. And they sub a good bit too.
And they sub a good bit. They're deep. And, this all comes on the heels of an 82 game season, right? So, the basketball that we watch that leads up to the NBA, those guys play 30 games, 35 games. Maybe the people who win the NCAA tournament might play 40 games in a packed full season. That's really probably the limit. And they go to the NBA and they play double that much. And then they play, I think like 16 teams make the tournament, right? So you play like 4 series, and 4 7-game series, best of 7 to get to the title. That's a lot. That's a lot of miles that they put on these guys. And so there are a lot of teams, and there's a lot of criticism on the flip side of this for something they call load management. And so like teams like San Antonio was famous, Greg Popovich, for load management. And he would get criticized about it a lot because he would sit guys when they were perfectly healthy. And they started making rules. And the reason they made rules is, all right, so I drive over to Atlanta because I want to see, because San Antonio is coming into town and they've got this big 7'5" guy, Victor Wembanyama, I think. And I want to see him play. So I pay $150 to go, sit in a good seat in Atlanta, and he's in street clothes on the sidelines just fine, but he's taking the night off. And they take a lot of flack for that kind of thing, right? Yep. A lot of flack was given when they were trying to do load management with LeBron James, right? Because that $150 was probably $500 that I spent because LeBron's not going to be around that much more. Or Steph Curry, that is another big one. So Steph's coming in town. Jonathan's dying to see Steph Curry. I go to Atlanta. I spend $500 a ticket, and they decide to sit him that night. And so there's a lot of flack for that. This guy's on the other end of the spectrum. Does he play his guys too much? Does he wear them out? Now you think about this. What kind of pressure would it? What kind of guy is it going to take that job, right? So
you don't want to be the next guy.
So, but on one side, maybe you are ready to win the NBA title, right? You're not necessarily getting a job that you got to build it from the ground up. They have a lot of great players, right? But on the flip side, how long are they going to have any patience with you if they just fired this guy when he was that close to getting the NBA
and
finals?
How quickly is somebody going to swoop in, fire their coach, and pick up Tom Thibodeau?
Yeah.
Thibodeau.
But see, also they've sort of damaged him too, right? Because now they've left the impression that what he does, that he's not a good coach.
Well, maybe
even though he had a lot to do with getting them to where they are. So it's
maybe some of these other teams don't have a bunch of pansies in their general management and want a coach that makes them play.
Right, exactly. And along with this whole idea of him playing them too much, Thibodeau's also known for playing defense, right? Which doesn't always happen in the NBA. This guy's about getting his guys out on the court and making them play.
Like actually play the game instead of just being running in a 3-point game.
It's 130 to 129, and so
this article mentions the load management thing. And I was going to say, I wonder, it says, even as the league moves toward using rest more in this load management era. So maybe he's not fitting in with sort of the vision and the direction of the league. Jason, back to something you said, almost wondering how many times has this kind of thing happened. This thing says, according to the Elias Sports Bureau, teams have changed their head coach after making the conference division finals or NBA finals the previous season more than 30 times in league history. And then in the last 20 years, it looks like maybe 4 times.
Yeah.
The Celtics, the Grizzlies, the Pistons, and the Pistons. Pistons did it twice.
Yeah. So, it'll, I want to keep my eyes on the Knicks next year. Number one, who do they hire? Because that's a high profile job, right? And New York is so excited about this team, just to give you an idea, that they were out celebrating in the streets when they won their second round of the tournament when they beat the Celtics. So they beat the number 1 seed. It was like, they were doing the thing that typically a team does when they win the NBA title. They were so excited. So there's a huge upside. You're in the, biggest city in the country. The Knicks are the team there. You play in Madison Square Garden. You have everything on your side, but boy, you got some pressure on you too.
Oh man. Yeah.
So anyhow, more to come.
Well, guys, I'm going to be a little all over the place tonight, which is not really
Take us all over the place
for many other things, but there's a lot of things going on that we need to address. And the first one kind of falls into the climate change / sun dimming / respiratory warning, air quality warning discussion.
That was a lot of slashes.
I have a lot of slashes. I told you I was all over the place. So have y'all heard what is soon to be arriving here in the US of A?
Is it coming from the Sahara?
Yeah.
There is a massive cloud of dust from the Saharan desert headed for Florida and thought to be here in this area by end of the week. So be prepared for dust. Now, we talked last week and maybe the week before about the Brits trying to dim the sun. It seems to me that a giant dust cloud that is moving from the Sahara Desert all the way to the United States should do that without us having to pump a lot of aerosols into the air.
Do you think maybe, can we go conspiracy theory with this?
Yeah, go
Do you
for it,
think that England is doing this? Do you think
No,
they've set up some fans or something to blow the sand?
It's probably those big turbines they put out there for wind to blow through. Yeah.
What if on the west coast of Africa, they installed a huge dust ruffle? Dust ruffle.
Oh, like on the bed. Yeah, I like it. To keep the dust.
And kept the dust and moved it north.
I like that.
To the UK, where they want the sun dimmer.
Where they want it dim.
Yeah, I like that.
So,
how does this go in with the whole wildfire thing?
Oh, that's my next thing I was going to bring up. So, not only do we have the Saharan dust cloud, Saharan, I don't know, but we have the Canadian, we have the Canadian wildfires, which are now spreading smoke into the U.S. Midwest, again, dimming the light from the sun.
Hey, the Canadian wildfires have made some pretty cool sunsets here lately.
It really has. And the smoke, the pictures of the smoke from that area, that region, especially the northern, kind of the Midwestern U.S., like the Dakotas, is crazy. I mean, it's like a smog bank rolling in, which I guess it's not. It's a smoke bank. But so we have from the Sahara Desert coming through Florida up into the East Coast, we have a cloud of dust. I don't know why we don't have a big Swiffer on the coast just to take care of it, but we don't. We have smoke coming from the north. So we should be seeing temperatures cool off if this works, because it should be blocking the sun. And then to top everything off, our Italian friends, Mount Etna erupted.
Yep.
Wow. And did
now
it.
we got some volcanic ash.
Whoa.
So I want to, this is
it
where
looked more like the side of that mountain just exploded.
Did you see the pictures of the video of the people that were hiking on the mountain when it go off? They are getting off the mountain as fast as possible.
But there were some of them that were not moving quite as expeditiously as I felt like they needed to.
I think if you climbed up to the top, you're tired.
and or maybe old.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe they shouldn't have been doing that.
True.
Yeah. But they were moving off of there. So we have 3 major things that are putting
just one more picture.
Dust,
boom,
smoke, and all kind of gases into the air. So all our work with climate change over the last 10 years just got erased. Poof, gone.
I kind of feel like I grew up hearing that all of these things you're mentioning make it hotter.
Well, you would think, but if they're dimming the sun, these should be dimming the sun. but we're putting more greenhouse, quote unquote, gases into the atmosphere. So I have a warning, and I have some dear friends of mine that have some respiratory issues. This is an air quality alert for all my friends I have a son with asthma. If you're going to be outside, be careful. Use your inhaler. Do a breathing treatment. It might just be best to stay inside until at least the Saharan dust cloud
Sit next
dissipates.
to that HEPA filter.
Yeah, one of those Shark air purifiers.
Yeah.
You might want to buy a new filter for it.
This might only rival the fall when Leeds was on fire.
Yes.
Or the Moody landfill.
Oh, the Moody
Oh,
landfill.
you had the Moody
That's
landfill.
right.
Yeah. That was scary.
Was that the
we
same?
were burning trash.
Was that the same year?
No.
No.
Separate? Okay.
The Leeds fires were before that.
It's been a while.
But I'm worried about all of these things causing our air quality problems, also making it too cold because it's dimming the sunlight able to come through.
Since you mentioned Italy, not to mention in Hawaii.
Luigi.
In Hawaii, there was an eruption in Hawaii as well.
Was there?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yep.
Oh, they come in fives. What's next?
They come in fives.
I don't really think that's true.
You heard it here first, folks.
I just made that up.
I thought that the Hawaiian eruption might have to do with Mountain Dew Baja Blast 14 or whatever the next
what was it? Black Midnight or something?
Black Midnight. That's right.
I think that's what Russia's about to do to Ukraine.
Yeah. So, it was on the Big Island.
Wait, are there multiple islands? I'm just kidding.
No, just one.
Just one.
They just call it the big one.
So when did it erupt?
In the last week.
Man.
And there was lava like going up 1,000 feet or something. I don't remember exactly what they said, but it was pretty impressive.
So there's 4 things that are ruining air quality right now. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to crank my diesel truck up, and I'm going to let that thing put some exhaust out tonight because I feel like I'm just making a slight dent in all the gases that are being put out. All right. So my last thing I want to bring up today.
Just going to move right along.
Yeah. Oh, this story. I don't know how much y'all pay attention to international news, but I am on top of international events. I'd like to title this section, and I think we should make this a new segment called I've Had a Bad Day.
Okay.
Dang it. Hold on. Nope.
Okay, let me do that again.
Nope.
I think we should call this segment So I've Had a Bad Day.
Cause you had a bad day.
Taking one down. You sing a sad song just to turn me around.
All right. Let's pot it down a little and let me get into this story.
I like it.
Guys, it is not a good time to be in charge of the docks in North Korea.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you've been keeping up with what's going on.
Is that the DOCS like you or the DOCKS like?
The DO.
Like the shipyards.
Yeah, the shipyards.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
So about a week and a half ago, was it a week and a half ago? North Korea was going to launch their new warship, a 5,000-ton destroyer or cruiser or some kind of ship. It was a big ship, 5,000 tons. Not only were they nationally televising it, as they would do, Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-un, I'm probably going to get,
Yep.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah, you're in trouble now.
The hermit dictator, as I've heard him called, is in attendance for the launching of this ship. Okay. So they have it where, you've seen them slide down the rails into the water backwards.
Backwards, yep.
Every now and again, you might see one go sideways. This one was going to go sideways into the water.
It's like the bottle of champagne to hit on it or whatever.
I don't think they have champagne in North Korea.
Okay, gotcha.
It was probably the broken hearts of their people that they were hitting against the ship.
Somebody he didn't like. He was just slamming him up against the side of the ship.
Guys, the ship goes into the water. And the release mechanism didn't work well.
Ruh-roh.
The back end of the ship hits the water first. It capsizes, falls over on its side.
I read somewhere that they were touting this as the unsinkable battleship or some unsinkable.
Yeah,
we're talking Titanic here again.
Yeah, we are.
there are some very, very bad things that happen when you say this is unsinkable. And in his presence, the hermit dictator, Little Un, whatever his name is, this thing sinks. So the first thing they did to try to cover up some of what was going on to keep the world from being able to spy.
Literally cover it up.
Literally covered it with blue tarps. Like that was going to blend into the water.
Yeah.
Obviously, their satellites.
They just went to
I'm sorry, their satellite didn't show that it was very, very obvious.
But ours did.
Ours did.
How many tarps are we talking about?
A bunch.
A bunch.
lot.
And I think they were the blue, whatever the Korean version, North Korean version of Home Depot tarp is. Yeah. And they cover it, and it's been laying on its side for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. There's some discussion on if the hull was split asunder in the process. But this week, guys, talking about having a bad day.
What do you turn it back up right with?
Oh, they've been using balloons and balloons and some type of a crane mechanism to pull it over.
It says manual labor, ropes, and balloons.
They have.
So is this like an up situation?
I think it is.
Are they just tying up? Are they Looney Tunes in this and tying a bunch of balloons?
Just comes all the way out of the water.
They don't have balloons in North Korea.
It says balloons.
I think it's pigs' bladders, and they're just filling them with air.
Okay.
With helium.
Well.
So they have pigs, but no balloons.
Well, I think I've never been there. This is all speculation. But they did get it erected today. But in this process, they labeled this not an accident, but they labeled it. Kim Jong-un described this as a criminal act that severely damaged the dignity and pride of the country.
Who was the criminal?
Well, they've arrested 4 people.
Yep.
The chief engineer, the construction head, an administrative manager, and the
probably the guy that pulled the lever that let it go.
Let me see here. This guy is the director of the ruling working party's munitions industry department.
What?
The ruling
No wonder
Workers' Party.
He should have been arrested just for that title.
It should have been. It sounds like a very communist title to me.
You know what those guys are? They're goats.
Well, do you know what happened to them? They were punished. And I am thinking punishment. Now, this has not been confirmed, but I'm thinking if you embarrass.
Is this the kind of punishment you only get once?
Yeah. I don't think they put him in timeout. Well, maybe eternally put him in timeout.
I think they woke up dead.
I'm thinking it did not go well for these people. And can you imagine you're here, your leader who is, he's like your emperor. This is the guy that if he says you're gone, you're gone.
Off with their heads.
So another funny thing about this whole thing.
Yeah.
The harbor entrance where they were launching this thing wasn't even deep enough for this boat to leave the harbor.
Buckets of water. Get me more water in here.
They would have just piled up bodies to get the water to come up a little deeper. But can you imagine standing there? You're filled with pride as you're launching this ship, and the thing just goes and falls over on its side. The fear that came
in the name
into
of
minds.
Kim Jong-un, I release this boat.
I do like, after our couple of episodes of leadership talk, the dear leader just immediately tries to find blame.
I like he says it's a criminal act.
Yeah.
Like somebody is going to intentionally wreck this ship to catch the wrath of one of the angriest men in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it just I shouldn't draw humor from this, but I have been reading article after article about this, and it makes me chuckle inside because I can just imagine the pomp and the show. Just the military there, the band's playing, and the band's going. It just makes me laugh.
If they did that, they would also be off of their head.
But I would, what if the band, they teach people, if you watch like even in the Olympics, the North Koreans clap like in perfect sync with one another, like they practice clapping. I wonder if they were all standing there still clapping and he finally said, shut up.
In other execution news, the second trombone and the third baritone were also executed today.
So Kim has demanded and ordered whoever is supposed to do this to have the vessel repaired and in the water by the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure it'll be seaworthy. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't really seaworthy the first time they launched it.
Well, this
just couldn't get out to the sea.
Well, it's going to be like in a bathtub. It'll just kind of go back and forth in the bay. It'll be defending that area.
It'll be more of a shuttle.
Yeah.
They did have some cool fireworks. I'm just looking through some pictures of this thing.
Yeah.
They did have some cool fireworks at the launch of this thing. Maybe one went a little awry.
I don't know.
In a criminal act, someone pointed one the wrong way.
That's
the better way to think. I think about this.
It's not an accident. It's not a horrific accident. It is a criminal act. Off with the head. So anyway, I found humor in it. I probably shouldn't, but I have. That's all I got.
It's a good story.
So do we want to take a break?
Hold on. Before we take a break,
yeah,
I think it's important for us to talk about what happened last week. Guys, we got in trouble.
Oh, I forgot about this.
We got in trouble, y'all.
We got
authorities.
We got our hands slapped.
We went to podcast jail.
We went to podcast jail.
Yeah, a little copyright infringement, I'm afraid.
Over the most ridiculous song this podcast has ever
kangaroo
played.
down, spot. Time a kangaroo down, all together now.
It's going to happen again.
Yep. So just for everyone listening, just so y'all know, we are taking the hits for this kind of quality content we are putting out. And the kangaroo song from last week got us in trouble. Not any of the other music we played, but the kangaroo song got us in trouble.
And I think I'm trying to find the original text that was sent out. It really made me laugh, and I am having a hard time. Oh, here we go. Let's see what Drew said. We text a lot, guys. Here we go. Passages got tagged for copyrighted music. The song, Tie Me Kangaroo Down. Rolf Harris, Still Making the World Turn.
Yep.
That is awesome.
I just want to assure all of our passengers that we will continue to play music.
Yes, we will. We will not be constrained by
But our
this.
music will be used in the sense of parody.
In parody, yes. All of this is in parody. I think
if you listen to us, you should know.
Yeah, that's pretty clear.
That we are
Does
a parody.
this give us like a little more street cred, maybe?
It might.
I think so.
Are you really a podcast until you've got a copyright strike?
I think so.
I'm getting a new tattoo. It's going to be a kangaroo tied down.
Nice.
That's going to be the next one. I had a different one, but now I'm going full kangaroo on the
I'm thinking
back.
about the design already.
Will you draw me the kangaroo tied down? I'll get it on my back this time, I think. It's big enough for a kangaroo.
So we have a bad preacher this week.
Yeah, I did some research today, and I found us a few that are newer, or at least new
to us
where I look. So I think I've got one that we can do. You want to take a break so I can have time to find it?
Yeah, we'll take a break and be back with a bad preacher. Welcome back, passengers. It is time for
Bad Preachers. Put your hand on that television set.
And you wouldn't go about establishing your own kingdom in the video room.
Isn't that something called a moshoko matata?
Could it be?
All right, Jason, you're bringing us back with a bad preacher here?
Welcome to Bad Preacher. Sorry, I was zoned out there for a second. I was doing a little research on this one. So this is a Bad Preacher segment that is coming from evangelist Mitch Canup, Canupp.
Canup.
Making those mics pop. You remember when Miss, oh no, how am I drawing a blank? She would jump every time somebody would pop a pee on the microphone. Oh man, you're going to have to erase all this because I can't think of her name. Johnny Clement's mom.
Miss Tip.
Miss Tip. How can I forget Miss Tip? Miss Tip, bless her heart. She would be sitting in the pew and somebody would pop the pee on the microphone and she'd go, oh. It was one of my favorite things. Anyway, so Mitch Kennep has a little bit of discussion about the evil of the Eagles. No, I'm sorry. Eagles song.
Not Eagles.
Hotel California.
This is going great, Jason.
We may just Drew, please come home. Please.
All right, I'm going to play it.
Anton LaVey was the founder of the Church of Satan in 1969 on California Street in California, as in Hotel California.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the Eagles, the back of their album cover, and you look at Anton LaVey's picture. And I think James White looks so much like Anton LaVey. But you look at Anton LaVey's picture there in the window, and the song says, "Such a pretty face, such a pretty face." You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Right. Hotel California.
You know what
That's
I'm
the
saying.
Church of Satan.
Yeah.
And they're glorifying it. Eagles, 1969.
I do like in this video, it's from the side of the pulpit, so you see the front couple rows of the church or the congregation, and there's maybe five men sitting in view. And when he says something, they're just you hear them saying right, and they're just agreeing with him, just like they're like, this isn't a sermon. We're just listening to a guy talk at a conference room table.
And we are.
Amen. Well, folks, that's nothing new. In 1984, there was a rock group called Merciful Fate. Any of you former headbangers ever heard of Merciful Fate? They sung a song called The Oath, and this is the exact satanic oath that Anton LaVey has got in the front of the Satanic Bible. And Lord help me with this. By the symbol of the Creator, I swear henceforth to be a faithful servant of his most puissant archangel, the Prince Lucifer, whom the Creator designated as his regent and Lord of the world. Amen.
What is happening right now?
It is. I have no clue where he's off the rails here.
I'm like uncomfortable with this. Do we even need to continue this?
No, I think that's enough. So I've been doing some research, which is why I've probably not been paying attention well.
What was before you get into that, what was the guy he said was part of the Eagles? It looks like this LaVey guy.
No.
I think he was calling out a member there.
James White. Not in the Eagles.
Not in the Eagles, yeah.
So the AI overview. So I asked Google AI, is Anton LaVey on the back cover of the Eagles album, Hotel California? AI says, no, it's not confirmed that Anton LaVey is on the back cover of the Hotel California album. There are rumors that he appears on the back cover of the album, but there's no confirmation to support his theory, according to the BBC News article. The front cover of the album is a photograph of the Beverly Hills Hotel, and there's no indication that LaVey is present on the image.
How can there be a rumor? I mean, it's a picture that either
didn't that guy say something about him looking in a window? So maybe it's
it's like he's standing. It's like he's standing back in the back. I mean, the guy's this tall on the. So another thing from the BBC says this song was also rumored to be about heroin addiction, cannibalism, or devil worship. The album cover allegedly shows Anton LaVey. So this guy held on to that and then just blew up his Sunday morning sermon about it.
Yeah, I don't feel like reading whatever this oath he's reading. I mean, he lost me there. I mean, I was laughing along until that came.
It's
so that was another
Very
group in 1984. I've never heard of them. The Oath.
No, it was he was reading the oath. The other group was.
What was the other group?
Oh, you may have to back it up and hear it.
Here it is. I'm not going to play it again, but the Merciful Fate.
The Merciful Fate.
Merciful Fate.
Never heard of those guys.
Okay. The site Snopes says
it's a Danish heavy metal band from Copenhagen.
like the dip.
Yes. Right.
No, like the
That's where it came
breakfast
from.
treat, the Danish.
Oh,
Danish.
the Danish. Ooh, I like a good Danish.
But you
Cream
cross
cheese
it.
Danish.
You cross it with Copenhagen. It's
Yep.
sort of
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah, the Kopenish or the Danenhagen, not good. It wouldn't be good. But no, he's out of control.
Yeah, that doesn't feel appropriate for a church service from the pulpit.
And the people in there are like,
Yeah, just going along with him.
how you don't just zone out
Or get up
and
and
lose
leave.
all interest in that. I can remember, I mean, I'm old enough that I can remember when there were the controversies about bands. If you play this record backwards,
Not some backmasking.
it'll
No.
say that. You remember
Oh,
those
yeah.
conversations?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can remember, we're not going to buy any cassettes of this. I came around, the cassettes were really, the 8 tracks and cassettes were the big hit at that time.
Well,
but
when KISS came along, right? What did it stand for? Kings in Satan's service, right?
Oh.
Something like
yeah,
that.
I just remember there
Maybe
being
Knights.
I can remember
don't
as a
know.
kid going to a youth rally, and they'd be talking about all these evil music that you shouldn't be listening to. And I mean, the stuff I grew up listening to was never there, but I mean, the stuff I started listening to, and I guess middle and high school, maybe there was a few, but
I'm not sure I
don't think the pulpit's
sure that
the
I
time
ever
to
had
rant and rail about
Yeah,
it.
I'm also not sure I ever had a turntable that could play backwards. So I'm not sure that backmasking was something I could ever test out.
I just don't it seems like that is somebody that has nothing else to talk about. I mean,
Yeah, I think
the Bible
I think he
is-
dusted off his Satan worship from about 30 years ago.
I'm fairly sure there's enough material between Genesis and Revelation that you could come up with a sermon without having to talk about the Hotel California album.
Absolutely.
You can check out anytime you like. You can never leave.
Never leave. That's how I feel about the work life sometimes. Or maybe like I did as we started this segment, I had kind of checked out, but I was still here.
Well, take another break and be back for our passage.
Let's do
During
it.
the break, we're all going to go take a shower and wash off whatever that just was.
I'm really excited about our passage.
Me too.
tonight.
I'm so excited.
We got something special for you, Drew.
Don't mind dying. Don't mind dying. Don't mind dying. Don't mind
All right, welcome back. It's time for our passage this evening. I'm actually paying attention now, so
Welcome back, Jason.
That read in is coming a lot better.
That welcome back was for yourself, wasn't it?
It really was, because I had honestly zoned out for just a little bit. I'm not going to lie. So tonight's passage is coming from a special place, and I don't want to reveal who it is from yet. We'll bring that up here in just a little bit, but we're going to talk about it, and then when we get done with the passage, this is called a teaser, so stay around. When we get done with the passage, we are going to bring it up, and we'll talk about it and reveal who it is from. But the passage I want to read is, people speak of truth as if it were royalty riding on our shoulders, as if it would be an honor to carry it. I'll tell you what the truth really is. It's something nobody really wants to hear. Truth is nightmare. We try to lock it away in dark corners so we can ignore it. But if we sit still long enough, it breaks free and it haunts the deep chambers of our minds. I'm going to read it one more time. And I know it's a longer passage, but man, there's so much truth in this passage on truth. People speak of truth as if it were royalty riding on our shoulders, as if it would be an honor to carry it. I tell you what the truth really is. It's something nobody really wants to hear. Truth is nightmare. We try to lock it away in the dark corners so we can ignore it. But if we sit still long enough, it breaks free and it haunts the deep chambers of our mind. There is so much to unpack in this quote. I think the easiest thing to do is to just take it maybe a line or a sentence at a time. So people speak of the truth as if it were royalty riding on our shoulders, as if it would be an honor to carry it. I think deep down, we want people to think that we are people of truth, that we are people of honesty and openness and vulnerability. We want to be known for those things. But I don't know that we always fulfill the role of actually being true to being known for that. We may show it on the external, like he says, like it was riding on our shoulders. But I don't know that we're always being honest in that.
There are some different ways that truth is used sometimes, right? We talk about within a church setting, as we talk about teachings of the Bible, we talk about it as the truth.
That's right.
Right. And so, in that aspect, and you apply it to, where we're going with this passage, I think it holds well. Also, I think where you were headed a little bit, just the truth of, the truth of life, right? Hard truths that we deal with sometimes, things that we are hesitant to bring up because it's difficult truth, something that I don't really want to say to you, but it's truth. And it would be best that I say it to you, but I know it could hurt you. It could damage our relationship. It could, there's a lot to be said about the difficulty of truth, right? So, truth's hard.
It's not an easy thing. As I read this quote and was thinking about it today, I thought about the list that Drew brought to us a few weeks ago about I think it was 19. I think he converted it to 20 things that he wishes he could tell himself, or that he wish he had known when he was younger, that are hard truths. They're things that you don't really want to hear. I mean, the quote says that. I mean, it is something that nobody really wants to hear. Truth is a nightmare.
There are truths about each one of us that we don't want to hear. I mean, they're just, it's like, hey, Tim, and fill in the blank, right? And it's, what do you need to work on? Where is your weakness? What's going on in your heart that needs to change? What's going on in your daily actions that need to change? And, there's a lot of truth that every single one of us really don't want to hear.
That's right.
Because it convicts us.
And there's a lot of that truth that not just we want to hear, but we also don't want other people to see. We don't really want it riding on our shoulder as a parrot or something for people to see. A lot of times that truth is a nightmare. This quote hits really deep and hard for me just because of some of my life experiences. Truth for me, there was a time where truth for me was an absolute nightmare. I dreaded it. I would do anything to avoid the truth. I would lie. I would put on a facade. I got the word right tonight. But I was not going to let that truth be seen. And it says in the quote, we try to lock it away in the dark corners so we can ignore it. Because ignoring it, you either face the truth or you ignore the truth.
Yeah.
That's your two options. And I like how this quote says, but if we sit still long enough, it breaks free and it haunts the deep chambers of our minds.
Kind of implies some guilt in there in ways.
Yeah.
I think about when I was a kid, kind of learning, how to tell the truth, right? So I did something, I broke something, or I, did something I wasn't supposed to. And my dad would come in and he's real big and instilled in me the whole telling truth, telling the truth, which is a little different than somewhere we're talking around. But, you think about when you're a kid and you're scared, I'm going to get in trouble. So I'm going to lie my way out of this, or I'm going to say I didn't do that so that I don't get in trouble. And my dad taught me really early on, you might get in trouble, but it's better if you tell me the truth than if I find out you're lying to me.
Right.
which is one of these things of, for a kid, that kind of truth is nightmare. It's not as heavy as, some things we deal with as adults, but it's still a nightmare because, now I'm going to get a spanking, or I'm going to get grounded or whatever. And I mean, to a kid, that's bad.
But what your dad was doing. Oh, I think I've talked about it on this podcast as well, is, when in raising Jonathan, the one thing that he would get in more trouble for than anything else was lying.
Yep.
Right. Or, and we'd have that discussion, and, in that part that all kids hate, right? The talk before the punishment.
Mm-hmm.
That's worse than the punishment sometimes. But, the whole idea was, if I can't believe what you're saying to me and we don't have trust, we have such a big problem here. Right. So, if truth doesn't characterize our relationship, what do you have? I mean, you have such a struggle, and there's so many problems that exist. And I mean, I'm sure that's exactly where your dad was going. And
absolutely.
Because, if you don't have truth, everything just begins to fall apart. Right?
Yeah. My dad reminded me of something that happened when I was a teenager. A friend and I we would tear up Trussville, Alabama on bikes back before it was as crazy as it is traffic wise. And there's this instance where we were riding all around. I mean, we would ride from not quite where Target is now, but back toward downtown Trussville and just everywhere in between. And we went by where the CVS was. It's moved now, but where it was, and didn't go down into this parking lot, but we get around some other place, and a cop pulls up on us, and the officer stops us and says, "Hey, were you guys around the CVS? There's something happened over there, and I need you to come back with me." We get back over there, and this lady is freaking out because a car got dented in up above the wheel. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, I'm about to go to jail, and I am telling the truth, right? We didn't even go in this parking lot. So I call my dad. He comes down there. He talks to the officer, and this lady will not stop yelling. She is just beside herself. And
she didn't see you guys, but she's convinced you
that we did it, right? Because she saw us run. She saw you ride by the parking lot, and so she was convinced we did it. My dad, after talking to the two, rather not talking to the lady who wouldn't stop yelling and talking to the officer, kind of looks around for a minute, and he goes and gets a buggy, a shopping cart, and he pulls it over there, and the dent lines up perfectly with the corner of a parking lot. And he goes, "You know what? If one of these two boys," I was with a friend, "if one of these two boys had done this, they'd be laying on the other side of the car hurt." And that was the end of the conversation. And later we were talking about it, and he said, "One of the reasons that I believed you is because I feel like I feel like you tell the truth." And so that's something we try to instill in Kinley early on over some candy wrappers in her pillowcase of, if I can't trust you in the little things, when you need me to trust you in a big thing, what do you expect?
Well, and once that truth is broken,
right,
the amount of effort it takes to
rebuild
back that truth is really hard. So this passage came out of a pretty, it's not super lengthy, but an entire section in this book that talks about truth. And if y'all don't mind, I want to read just a little bit more of what it says.
Let's do it.
So the passage we read ends, and then it says, "You speak with a friend, you keep the conversation away from anything important. Talk about taxes, games, construction, whatever. Your friend leaves and you are alone. Then truth spreads its awful wings and casts a shadow over your trivial thoughts. Or you lie down to sleep because you must. Think about it. The perfect man would not have to rest, but God built a flaw in us, the need for sleep. So we must lie down every night in darkness without our dear distractions, alone with our thoughts. Then truth comes to us in our dreams. We speak nobly of truth, but we cower in fear when it visits. Nobody really cares about the truth. I'll tell you what truth is. It's not royalty. It's not a gift. It's a burden. And that's how that section, it continues to go in the book, but that section on truth, that's how it ends, which is an appropriate ending for it. But I love this passage on truth. It's one of the things when I read this book, I notated it, I've saved it, because truth is something that I struggled with throughout most of my life. Truth to myself, truth to others. I lived behind tons and tons of masks. And what it says there is in those quiet moments when the distractions are gone, the truth of who you really are will eat away at your soul. And it makes for some really miserable times. And I can admit openly now that for me, the truth of who I was and what I was doing and the ways I were covering for it and lying and everything else that was associated with it, it was a burden that drove me nearly to madness.
Is it Edgar Allan Poe, the whole heartbeat? Like he
the telltale heart.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. But it was one of those things that in those quiet moments, I could not get away from the inner truth that just kept bubbling to the surface.
That was the nightmare that we were talking about in this quote, right?
That is. I don't know. So to open up who this is from a wonderful book called Burdens from our friend Drew Kaiser, who would never, ever let us do this if he were here.
Nope.
That's right.
Because he is about the most humble person I know, but a spectacular author. And this section, when I read this, when I was reading his book, I've read it twice. It's excellent. The second time you pick up on nuances that you missed the first time. When I read this book, I actually texted him that night on this section and told him this was probably the best section on truth I've ever read. And it's touching to me. I mean, you both know my history. I'm not going to air my dirty laundry here on air. But the truth is a hard thing. And it nearly broke me. And it's taken a lot of work and effort to even build some semblance of respect and honor and honesty and faithfulness and truth back in my life. And so it resonated to me, the terms in their nightmare, the terms of when you're alone, the term of at night when you're sleeping, of having dreams of the horrors of the truth, and it hit it home. So if you struggle with truth, as someone who has struggled with truth, find a friend, find a loved one, find somebody you trust, and sit down and have an open conversation with them. Let those truths out. Be true to yourself. Be true to your friends. Be honest about your struggles. Be vulnerable and willing to discuss the things that haunt you in your dreams, that haunt you in your quiet moments. Be willing to be open about those things. Tell somebody, because if you don't, the path you go down is not fun. It's awful. And I don't recommend it for anybody.
The other character in this sort of passage scene has a line that for me closes it up. He says, truth is reality. It's the way things are, whether we accept it or not.
Yep.
It's just the way it is. I mean, it is what it is, and you can't really change it. I mean, the truth is the truth.
Yeah.
And it shows the wisdom of our friend Drew Kaiser.
It does.
Before we wrap this up, I want to talk a little bit about, when we talk about truth and we talk about sort of the opposite of it, right? And we've talked about it already, right? This idea of trust and, are you a person of truth, or what are you hiding? Mm-hmm. Is your persona reality? Those kinds of things. But I also want to, before we wrap this up, talk a little bit about the idea of like withholding truth, as opposed to being a person who's forthcoming, because I find a lot of difficulty with this, right? I mean, I have difficulties in all areas, right? Sometimes it's, am I really who I pretend to be, right? But sometimes it is, I have something that maybe I need to say to someone, but do I really say it?
Like
right?
a hard conversation.
Right. And so it's not a truth versus lie thing, but it is a speaking of the truth, or sometimes it's even a speaking of your understanding of the truth, because you know what? It may not be, may be wrong, right? It's my perspective on something, right? So if I say, hey, Patrick, I need to talk to you about something that I perceive that's going on with you, right? Yeah. And so sometimes some of the things that may prevent me from doing that is I think I've got it, but I could be wrong, right? And so if I speak this and I bring it out and I'm wrong, I may damage our relationship. I may, because, then it becomes, you really thought that about me, right? I mean, you thought I was capable of that, or that's what I was doing, or that's what I was feeling, or that's what was in my heart, or, I think another part that is very difficult about truth is the idea of how much truth, or what I understand or believe to be the truth, do I speak, right? How forthcoming am I with the truth? Because it can, all of the things that Drew's passage talked about, with it being the challenge and the burden and all of that, that's what really, truth is. It's not easy.
Well, and you're talking about carrying a literal burden. Hey, I think something's wrong, and I don't know how to approach, whoever about it, because
you think about all the ramifications of doing it.
Am I going to turn over a rock that just is better left unturned, or am I going to turn over the wrong rock, which is what you're talking about? Or, from my point of view, you come to me with something like what you're talking about. Well, are other people thinking this too?
Sure.
So now, on one hand, maybe you're opening my eyes to a perception that I can't see. I don't know how that helps what you're talking about.
And I think a lot of the answer to it is, when you're dealing with that, always when you're interacting with others, do your best to come from a place of love, right? I'm never trying to, I'm going to tell you off, right? Or I'm going to straighten you out, or, however you might put that. You've got a challenge with somebody, or you've got a concern about them, or a worry about them. These are easy words and hard to do. But if you come from a place of love, I think people, generally speaking, will understand, and also come from the place of, I don't claim to be the source of truth. There's one source of truth, right? And that's God. But, we're talking about things where we're trying to help people through life, right? Yeah. And so, I think about some of this stuff a lot in relation to my new role, right? Here at church, and I'm supposed to be an overseer, and I'm supposed to be a shepherd. And those words have the idea, and this is one of those areas where I need to grow.
Yeah.
It's because it's hard. It's not my nature, but it's my job. So it's my job from this congregation's perspective, but it's also all of our jobs when it comes to things like when we talk about having problems with one another and how we ought to handle them. Yeah.
So you said truth and love. So Ephesians 4:15, speaking the truth in love. And then to your point, we will in all things grow up into Christ himself. So, I mean, you're talking very much in a biblical way here, that, if you come to someone, even if you're wrong, but it's in a loving way, and they can see the love, I guess, is the counterbalance to the uncomfortableness. We talk a lot at work about, sometimes you got to have a hard conversation with somebody. Somebody's not performing, somebody's done something they didn't realize offended someone. And you got to go kind of like, Hey man, that didn't go well. And let me tell you why.
Yeah.
And, they sort of train us to, hey, Tim, this is going to be kind of an uncomfortable conversation. And you start that up front. So they can also know maybe you're a little uncomfortable too. I don't know if that,
and it's so easy those are conversations that are so easy just to walk away and not have.
Yep.
And you haven't helped anybody in that situation. You just brush things under the rug. You still have this feeling about that person that's unresolved. They may have no idea what's going on, or you may be right and you could help them, right? All these things could possibly happen. All these negative things happen too often because we're not forthcoming with others when it comes to speaking things of truth. And I think when I read about, that whole idea about, you treat truth like royalty. I stand for truth. Right. Versus you get real about truth and it's hard. Tough.
And, a couple of things and then I'll stop talking. Probably not. I'll try. Number one, being somebody who was on the opposite side of it, you never know what benefit or good you're going to do or how much help you may bring somebody by just being willing to walk up to them and say, you seem off. Something's not right.
Just check in.
I'm coming from a place of love. I'm concerned about you. I'm not judging you. We talk a lot about truth and love, but a lot of times when we are confronting somebody, there's a lot of times we're coming from it from a place of judgment. I see something you've done. I think it's wrong. Let me tell you how to do it right. That's an abrasive way, but to go to someone you've built a relationship with, and in your role, Tim, as an elder, you have a relationship with a lot of people here. The people trusted you enough to put you in as an elder. You have the ability to go up to them in that relationship and say, look, I love you. Tell me what's going on. You seem off. This is what I've witnessed. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm here if you need it. Because sometimes people are so terrified and so filled of shame of what they've been through. They're terrified if this truth gets out, there's no one in here that's going to love me. There's no one in here that's going to stay with me. And sometimes just having somebody come up to you and say, hey man, I love you no matter what's going on. Talk to me is a huge, huge, huge relief.
You bring up sort of an interesting, I'm going to call it a paradox. Sorry, Drew, if that's the wrong word, but I think there's a difference between shame and guilt.
Oh, absolutely.
I think they're similar in a way.
Yeah.
But feeling guilty about something, I think, is different than what you're talking about. Of
absolutely,
somebody might feel shameful about something and so shameful that they don't talk about it. And sometimes if a friend, a good friend, or maybe even a sort of ancillary friend that's not an acquaintance comes up and says, hey, is everything okay? Sometimes that gives you give that person an opportunity to open up the floodgates, and you might get more than you bargained for. But you're doing better by that person.
Absolutely.
By just checking in.
Yeah. So I've always heard guilt is something that spurs you to action. Guilt is, I did this thing wrong. I feel bad about it. Let me find a way to make amends for it.
Yep.
So it's all about, I did this action. The action was wrong. I need to fix it. Shame is, I'm a horrible person. I'm worthless. I have no value.
I'll never be.
I could never. If you knew me, you would hate me. If you knew me, you would run from me. The monsters that are within are so great that my life is absolutely, utterly flawed and worthless. That's shame.
So guilt is more of an action oriented. I'm going to go fix something.
Where shame is, I'm going to internalize and mask.
Shame is like no action. Yeah. I'm going to hide from it and not even really sometimes be able to deal with it myself.
No, you push it to the side as much as you can. And people that are dealing with either of them, guilt or shame, sometimes they just need a safe place to let it go.
Yeah.
And that's where, so much of what we've talked about over the last year and a half in this podcast too is about building relationships with people. You can't go up to a complete stranger and say, "Hey man, you seem off. What's going on?" Because they're not going to catch. You
don't know what off is for them.
No,
either.
you don't. Yeah. But the people you're around and spend a lot of time with, that's a good. And in your role in leadership, you may have some times where you have to go to somebody who you're not completely familiar with.
Right.
But you still can go to them from a place of love and just say, "Hey, I've noticed this. I may be wrong, but it bothered me enough. I wanted to talk to you about it." And that opens up the discussion.
Yeah.
And if they say, "I'm great," then you have to trust that they're being honest with you, and it's out of your control.
But one of the skills, and a lot of people of this church are really good at it, and it's something that that I want to be more intentional in, is if you're going to be able to have these situations and have these observations, you have to be a watcher of others. You have to be looking out for others. You got to be, and I've talked about, to you guys at times, it's like, there've been times at church that I would have jobs, and some of these jobs have been taken off of me, and it makes a lot of sense to me now why they are, right. But there would be tasks that I would have, and a lot of times we as deacons, Patrick's got a lot of tasks that are going on, those, and when you think about it, you begin to see the wisdom of the way that God planned some of this, right? Because he set aside a leadership role, and he said, you guys need to be watching for the souls of people. And then he said, now you got to have some people who are tending to the business, right? Because there are things that have to be done. Right.
And then after he instituted the video kingdom.
Exactly. That's when, and then he said, and let there be a video room. Right. And so, but there are, and so there'd be situations where, we'd go home and Millie would be like telling me about this person. And did you see them? And they didn't look right. And I think there's something going on over here. And my head was always down. Like, I got to get this done, and then I got to get that done.
VBS is next week, Tim.
VBS is next week. I'm doing practically nothing, right. For it. And so it's still near and dear to my heart, but I'm sort of lifted out of that, and it's for this reason, right? Because I'm supposed to be in a different role now, doing different work. It's a completely different kind of work, and making that transition becomes reality, that now your task is not about putting your head down and doing something. It's about keeping your head up and watching out what's going on with people.
It's the biblical example of it is what the apostles had the people do in Acts 7, where they told them to choose 7 men of themselves to serve, because there were some complaints going on. And it says, let's see, and the 12 summoned the full number of disciples and said, "It is not right that we should give up preaching the word of God to serve tables. Therefore, pick out among you 7 men of good repute, full of spirit, wisdom, whom we will appoint to this duty. But we will devote ourselves to prayer and to the ministry of the word." And so even the apostles early in the church saw the need for some people to be doing the tasks and some people to be overseeing and leading and praying and looking over the spiritual nature. And that's part of the name of the elder, is an overseer. Yeah. Just like you're saying, you're looking around and looking for opportunities.
Right.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that this transition's not super easy for me.
Oh, I know.
Right. Because I'm used, I've spent 30 years in this church doing tasks. And I've told y'all this before, right? People will come up to me and they're like, well, you've been doing, they mean it as a compliment, right?
Yep.
You've been doing elders work for a long time. No, no, absolutely not. I've been doing, and that's why I'll tell, I've shared that with the elders that have been elders a long time. Right. And we dealt with some difficult stuff shortly after I became an elder. And I told them, I said, when you guys were dealing with stuff like this, you know what I was doing? I was running a song leading class with lads to leaders back in the back. I wasn't doing this kind of stuff, right? I mean, you know, it was difficult people things, and it's just different. Well, that transition, we all naturally levitate back to our happy place, right? To our place of comfort. And, you know, I can find there's some Sunday mornings when I marvel at, you know, some of my peers, right? Jason's dad, you know, he's working the room, you know, like a pro, and I'm trying, right? But I'm not there yet. You know, I am, you know, Will Brooks, I see him all over the place, right? Jim and Kevin, they're great. And I'm thinking, I'm sort of getting my announcements together, you know, or whatever, you know, and I'm thinking, I need to go see who that person is. I need to do, you know, this is growth in this area. It just requires a change.
I think too, though, when you think about putting together a team, and I'm not an elder, I don't think I want to be one, but at work, we put together teams of people to do things and teams of people to manage things and whatever. And we think a lot about the types of people we put into those teams. So I'm not what you're describing. I don't go out and talk to people. I would prefer to sit and engineer and architect something. Well, I often get paired with someone who's not me and compliments the things that I don't do well, but then I compliment the things they don't do well. So this person can go sit and talk about some super technical thing to, you know, an executive, and maybe I'm not the right one because I like to go deep and I have this extreme need to be precise, and it's too much. So this person is sort of like my I don't know, brother or sister in arms of this thing. And that may be some of what you're seeing.
And you're right. Even within an eldership, everybody doesn't have to be, you know, the man of the people.
Right.
Now, everybody has to have some of that, right? Because you're looking out for, I mean, you're the leaders of a congregation. And so you got to have some of that, but I think that's where it gets interesting in terms of like the different titles that are given, you know, to the overseers, because I mean, there's leadership stuff and then, you know, and then there's people stuff, you know, that, you know, there's just different aspects of that role. And so, you know, you're right that not all of it is just the, you know, complete freeness with I never met a stranger kind of thing.
And not everybody can be everything.
That's right. And right. And so everybody has, you know, as long as you have a group that complements one another, that's the pieces of the puzzle come together, then you've got what you need. And that's where I really, you know, I like the fact that in our eldership now, we've got guys who have been there for a long time. They've seen a lot. They've been through a lot. They've got a lot of history. You've got younger guys. You got a mix of young and old. So you got different energies going on there. You have different parts of the congregation that those people, you know, you got that they would sort of naturally gravitate to. And so, you know, all that together, you know, ends up sort of hopefully making a complementary group.
So. Before we close out, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask if I could institute what I'm going to start calling the glue clause, where we beat this horse one more time.
We'll turn it into glue.
Turn it into glue.
That's right.
So I'm just going to completely shift gears a little bit.
All right. Okay. Do it.
Do you guys think, and this is, so I'm obviously male. I think that's pretty clear. I am the only male in my house.
Bless you.
I have three girls that I wouldn't trade for the world, but I am a little alone in this way. I don't have any other testosterone in the house. And so do you think, and so that I wanted to set that up as where this question's coming from. Do you think that guys, men, boys, whatever, just males in general, do you think that they carry burdens in a way that that they don't feel, a lot of times they don't feel like they have any help with. They just absorb a burden and then they hold on to it. Maybe they carry it on their shoulders, not for everyone to see, but they're shouldering the burden of whatever. I
think there's some nature to that.
Yeah. And they don't almost feel like they have an outlet for any of that stuff because, you know, at least at home, I mean, I can talk to Amy about anything. I'm not really talking about that, but there are some things that are just sort of guy stuff. And I think from my experience, guys have a hard time, even if you're my best friend and I've known you my entire life and you know everything about me, all my hidden secrets, all my whatever. I think sometimes it's hard for men, and I don't know if this is like a nature or a nurture thing or societal thing, but I think a lot of times men just have a hard time opening up in that way.
No, I don't think there's any doubt about that.
I get in trouble a lot because I'm not a very emotional person. I don't show emotion outwardly. I never have. I'm sort of an android robot.
I
in that way.
that in many ways.
And sometimes Amy just, it's sort of just like, what are you feeling? And it's like, she puts her hands on either side of my face. Like, you have got to talk to me. And then and I'm just, the only thing I can say is, I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to say.
I think a lot of it's societal. I think some of it is just our nature. I think we're all afraid of revealing sometimes our weaknesses. I mean, I know I was raised that you're tough, you're a man, you're a leader. And I think sometimes we are afraid to show that we're weak and we don't know. There's sometimes like you, I can't even define what.
Right.
I'll get the stinking pillow out at the therapist and I'm pointing. I'm like, maybe it's this, but I'm not sure because he'll have the wheel of emotions.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know how to explain it. And then when we're all together, being vulnerable and open, we do that with our spouses. At least we strive to do that, but we struggle even with our spouses, and they should be our closest relationship outside of Jesus Christ. We really struggle. I mean, I carried a secret around with me for 20 years. I've known you guys. No, I've carried it for longer than that, almost 30 years, and never let anyone in on stuff until my life hit absolute rock bottom. It took me nearly losing everything for me to open up. And I'm just now getting comfortable with it. And I will tell you, it's the coolest thing in the world having kind of your dirty laundry aired. I'm so much more comfortable now coming up and saying,
you're not shouldering the burden
I'm
anymore.
having a horrible day. Let me tell you about it.
Yeah.
And there are times I have spoke to you three, Drew's not here right now, and others in this place about difficult things I'm carrying. But it took me being absolutely broken and in despair to get to that point. But it's freeing.
Yeah.
Like I have learned that it's very freeing. And the hard thing is I'm raising two boys. How do I teach those boys that it's okay to express their truths, what they're feeling? I mean, it's a tough thing.
You said it's hard to talk about or to show weakness. I think sometimes, and this is probably a large part of not being able to define an emotion, maybe, or not be able to articulate what you're really feeling. You just know, you know something's wrong, but you don't know how to.
You don't know how to say it.
You
or
know
express it.
You know the word wrong, and you don't know anything past that.
All right.
But vulnerability, I think, is something that maybe this is a little bit of societal thing. I don't know. This is my worldview, I guess. This is the opinion of Patrick, not of the Passages crew.
Comes from Patrick the III.
But vulnerability isn't weakness, or shouldn't be seen as weakness, even though it feels like it. And I think that's where not being able to define what you're feeling or what you're going through, you misconstrue something like vulnerability with, people are going to think I'm weak. I'm just going to hold this in.
And there are some times that I even think, because we've all had these discussions with our spouse, what's wrong with you or whatever. And there are times that I think I must just be shallow, right? Because you're just doesn't feel like anything's going on in here. And I think the reality of it is, there probably is something going on. If your spouse recognizes it, it's probably a situation where you're just not really in touch with your emotions, right. And you're not really, you're not really digging deep, and you're putting this wall up and just sort of numbing up about something or whatever. And it's like,
sometimes it's easier just to avoid it.
Nothing's going on. Please just leave me alone. Right. Make this end, and there's a lot of that sometimes. 'Cause I think, I see these memes on social media, right? And the lady's laying in the bed and she's like, I wonder if my marriage is falling apart. And, the bubbles on the guys, like, I wonder if, they should bat Acuna third for the Braves, or, and it's like,
how do they get the popcorn on the ceiling?
Exactly. Right.
It's an interesting topic. I like the direction that discussion goes in. Yeah. I will say this for folks that deal with mental health and feeling stuff, and you're having a hard time. If you can't find someone that you can trust to be vulnerable and open with, get a counselor, get a therapist. I think the generation I was raised in, it was an embarrassing thing if you had a therapist. Today, it's almost cool to have a therapist.
I think that's one of the best things that's happened in the last 20, 30, 40 years is just, from the fact that, like, talking about mental health is not taboo, to the fact that medication to help is no different than medication that I take to work on my high blood pressure, right? It's something that your body needs to talking about people, to just doing things like this where, we're just open about our feelings, right? And, we don't mind recording it and sharing it with others because, this is just, this is who we are, and we're dealing with life, and we're trying to get better every day, and try to walk closer to God. But, I can't think of necessarily, maybe my grandparents ever having any kind of discussion like this.
We're not going to talk about feelings, boy.
Right. And so there's a lot of things, a lot of times I think about the fact that there are a lot of things in this world that have not gotten better, right? Sometimes morality and things of that nature seem to just continually go downhill. This is one of the areas where things have gotten so much better, and you guys know the situation with my dad, me losing my dad. This is so important to me because, if my dad had lived in this day and age, he probably would be alive. Right. Mm-hmm. And he'd know Jonathan, and I would know him for, an extra 50 years, and so I think that all of that is great. And I echo exactly what Jason said. It's like, people talk about this stuff openly, and they should, because trying to get better at things should be celebrated, just like, going to the doctor and making sure that you're healthy physically, is a good thing.
And it works. I mean, it literally has saved my life. I can honestly, openly say where I was headed, it saved my life. Sometimes the burden of truth we carry is so heavy that we don't know where to go with it. Find a professional that knows how to draw that truth out of you. They're trained to do it. And there's some great Christian ones out there. There's some great organizations. If you're struggling with it, come see me. I will give you a long list of people that I have either seen, worked with, trust, because I am a big advocate for that kind of thing. I do want to close us tonight with something really funny. We've been really heavy for about the last 35 minutes.
That's right.
So let me end with something funny. So I've restructured, built out my office a little bit better, renovated a room at the house, put up new bookshelves and all. And a lot of my books have been in Tupperware totes for years. So I was going back through books, pulling things out. Some of them have not been in there for years. They've just been in there since I cleaned out what used to be the office to redo it. I found a book by our good friend Bradley Cobb from Cobb Publishing, that has been a sponsor on the show, a friend of the group. One day, Bradley, you're going to have to come down. I don't think I've ever met Bradley Cobb. I don't believe so.
Yeah.
But we've messaged back and forth a good bit through Drew and looking at his works. But I was going through my books and I was flipping them. I was like, I was trying to put them in classifications here, books that are just on, Bible scripture, books of the Bible, here are books on topics. And I was going through my topics books, and it's a study of the letter of James, justified by works. And at some point, Bradley, I taught a class on James. I'm not sure when.
Out of his book.
And used your book, didn't even know you. So that was it's like everything coming full circle. It was just a really cool thing. So
That's awesome.
I wanted to throw that out. So thanks for your book. It was underlined, so I've gone through it, and that means I was paying attention. So that's a good thing. So, well, thank y'all for listening tonight. I know we probably went, how long did we end up going? It felt long.
About normal.
Yeah, we actually are about normal.
Okay,
right
good. Hopefully Drew's going to be back with us. This is summer series time. So Drew is on his I'm Awesome tour, where he gets to go and speak at a lot of different local congregations. So you may deal with us three a few more times.
And we can just encourage you to stick around, because every time he's gone, we might do a Drew passage.
There's plenty of them. He's got a lot of great books.
Many of them.
So, well, I don't know how to close us out. What are we supposed to say?
I think Drew usually says something like, see you next time. There's more to come. I didn't get that right.
I think you're right.
I know he says there's more to come.
On Passages.
That's it. See you next week. There's more to come on Passages.
Thanks for joining us on Passages, where faith and friendship and a few food theories collide. If you enjoyed the episode, leave us a rating and review. It helps more than you know. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram @passages_podcast for behind-the-scenes fun and fresh inspiration between episodes.